Okay, so today we're going to do 6-4 properties of rhombuses, rectangles, and squares. If you can remember the key terms and the pictures, then you should be able to classify it fairly easily. So, key terms. The first one is a rhombus. A rhombus is a parallelogram with 4 congruent sides. So, the only thing that's the same for a rhombus is that all the sides are congruent. It doesn't say anything about the angles. The second one, a rectangle, is a parallelogram with 4 right angles. So a rectangle, it only talks about the angles, and they all have to be right angles. And the last one is a square, and a square is a parallelogram with 4 congruent sides and 4 right angles. So a square is both a rhombus and a rectangle. So when classifying, you need to make sure that you understand the difference between the three. Let's go ahead and look at example set 1, classify the parallelogram. So the very first one, you're trying to decide which of the following it is. Majority of you will be able to pick this one out. It would be a rectangle. The second one, it has 4 right angles and it has 4 congruent sides. So that one would be a square. The third one, the only thing that's marked is the sides. So if you look back up at the 3 terms, then the only one that I would be talking about would be a rhombus. And the last one is a little different, but if you notice, it's showing you that all the 4 sides are congruent, and then if that one angle is a 90-degree angle, then all the other ones are going to be as well. So if the sides are parallel to each other, so it's a square. The next part are the theorems. If a parallelogram is a rhombus, then its diagonals are perpendicular. So we're looking at these lines here, the AC and the DB. These are your diagonals. And if it's a rhombus, if it's a parallelogram, if the parallelogram is a rhombus, then those are perpendicular. Remember what perpendicular means, that they cross at a 90-degree angle. The next one, if a parallelogram is a rhombus, then each diagonal bisects a pair of congruent angles. So the diagonals are bisecting these angles, and they are congruent. And what is bisect? It means it cuts it in half. So if angle C was 60 degrees, this diagonal is bisecting it, so each part would become 30. And the last one, if a parallelogram is a rectangle, then its diagonals are congruent. So you need to make sure when looking at the picture, if it's a rhombus or if it's a rectangle. And if it ends up being a square, then all of these things hold true, because remember, a square is both a rhombus and a rectangle. Alright, so let's go ahead and use this information above to talk about here. Example set 2. What are the measures of the numbered angles of the rhombuses? So if we're talking about the rhombuses, we want to look at these 2 theorems. The first one, I want to know what is the measure of angle 1, 2, I want to know what is the measure of angles 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if we go back over here and we look at this information, if we're looking here and we're looking at these 2, it says the diagonals are perpendicular. So if this is a rhombus, if these diagonals are perpendicular, then the angles on the inside are all going to be 90 degrees. So which two angles are on the inside? But circle, it would be the 2 and the 3. So angle 2 is equal to 90 degrees, and angle 3 is equal to 90 degrees. So then we're going to go ahead and look at angle 1 and angle 4. If it's a rhombus, which it is, it tells us that each diagonal bisects a pair of congruent angles. So here it's telling us that these two parts are congruent and it's bisecting it. So if this is 59, then angle 1 is 59 degrees and angle 4 is 59 degrees. Okay, let's go and do another one. So again, this is a rhombus, so the first thing, the easiest thing to look at is the inside, where the diagonals are, because you automatically know these are 90 degrees. So angle 2 is 90, and angle 3 is 90. So then I want to go ahead and look at the others. The first theorem tells me that the diagonals are perpendicular, which is just used. And the second one says that each diagonal bisects a pair. So these angles are congruent. So all of these would be 52, but I want to know, what is angle 1 equal and angle 4 equal? If I know that angle 2 is 90, I'm going to go ahead and draw this angle out here. If I know that this angle is 90 degrees and this angle is 52 degrees, then I can figure out angle 1. Because remember, our whole triangle equals 180, right? So if that's true, then 90 and 52, take those away from 180, and angle 1 is going to end up equaling 38 degrees. And if angle 1 is 38 degrees, then angle 4 is also 38 degrees. Okay. So for the next one. Here, it's still a rhombus. There's only one diagonal, so we're not looking at angles on the inside. We're looking at these outer ones. So if the diagonal bisects it, set, then all of these angles here are congruent. So angle 2 is equal to 54 degrees, and angle 3 is equal to 54 degrees. If I know this is 54, and this is 54, and the whole triangle has to add up to give me 180, then I'm going to go ahead and say 180 minus 54 minus 54. So angle 4 is going to be 180 minus 108, which is 72 degrees. And so if angle 4 is 72 degrees, and angle 1 is also going to be 72 degrees, because these angles here are congruent. So for these, everything's kind of leading back to being 180 degrees. So we're looking at two different triangles here. Alright, and the last one, again, I have a rhombus, the diagonal, so I know that angle 4 automatically is 90 degrees. If this is 68, then I'm looking across at these two angles. So angle 2 is 68 degrees, and angle 3 is 68 degrees. And then I want to find the last one, which is angle 1. If this is 68 and this is 90, and angle 1 is going to be the difference of those two and 180, which is going to be 18, no, 12 degrees. Nope, not 12, 22 degrees, sorry. Because what I did here was angle 1 plus angle 2 plus the 90 degrees equals 180. So if I know that angle 2 is 68 plus 90 equals 180, then I'm just subtracting, and I end up with 22 degrees. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and skip these. It's the same exact thing that we just did. And we're going to go ahead and move on to sample set 4. I don't believe I labeled your rectangle here, so you're going to label it H-I-J-K.